Hey, today I want to talk about the importance of organizational purpose. I made videos before on individual purpose, why it's so important to cultivate all the benefits there, but let's talk about it at the organizational level. And this is particularly inspired by Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. If you haven't heard his TED Talk or TEDx Talk, which is one of those small TED Talks, he went viral many years ago for talking about why it's so important for organizations to have a sense of purpose, and that the great organizations all have a very strong mission that everyone can revolve around. Not just the executive officers, but all the customers, all the employees, right? So we see all these issues in dentistry of staffing, and I don't think it's an issue of staffing or people wanting to work. I think it's an issue of organizations who have no purpose, who don't motivate and inspire people to come and work for them. Whereas the great organizations do. They're going somewhere, they're pushing the boundaries, they're improving the status quo, and people who have had enough of how things currently are go and work for them willingly, selflessly. They give because it's in their self-interest, because they align with the mission. And so they'll work for cheaper, they'll work for longer. All these benefits come when you have organizational purpose. A good example is when Steve Jobs called, I think it was the chief marketer or someone of Coca-Cola, and he said, hey, when you want to stop selling sugar water to people and you want to actually change the world, come join us. And this guy who had been avoiding Steve Jobs for a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, quit Coca-Cola to come work for this up-and-coming startup called Apple, because there was a purpose around it, that as humans, that after some baseline money, it becomes much more than just about money, that we need a sense of purpose, and it is so intimately part of who we are as humans. And when an organization can deliver this to people, when it can align with it, because that organization is actually on a mission, it's actually has a strong sense of purpose, then people can align to it, and people can selfishly gain by joining that organization. So that's what we want to create. We don't want talent to come to you just because of the paycheck or whatever. We want them to feel like they're getting something by working for you. All right, and that has to do with a organization's purpose. So I made a video a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was a couple of days ago, called Developing a Sense of Purpose, which is how we as individuals develop purpose. It's exactly the same with an organization, because what we see is that businesses and organizations are just a reflection of the owner, of particularly small ones, not the board-led ones. But the owner has to develop a sense of purpose as well. Because if the owner doesn't have a sense of purpose, then the organization never will. That the organization is just a reflection of what the business owner is doing. And so here's how you develop a sense of purpose. And this isn't by any means the only way or the best way, or this is just how I understand it. All right. Purpose is what we see ourselves being the change agent for. It is the gap between the status quo and our vision of what things could be like, and how we bridge the two. So that the activities around getting there to the vision is our mission, that we exist to do the things to get us there. All right. So a lot of people lack this sense of vision, that they see the status quo and they're okay with it and they just want to stay where things are. And that is not leadership. That's not going to inspire anyone. If you're thinking of talent, or you're thinking of patients or customers, they're going to look at everyone else and see that you're exactly the same. Why would they work for you? What selfish motivation do they have to work for you or to become a customer of yours? You're the same as everyone, right? And so when you exist at that level, that's when we run into issues like price competition, like not enough patience, because it's spread out. The patient pool is spread out across all these providers because you're the same as everyone else. Whereas when we develop a sense of purpose, people understand why we exist, and not only do staff come, patients come, because they align with that idea as well. That, hey, dentistry should be this way, and I agree with that, and therefore I will be a patient because it serves my self-interest. Not everyone will agree, but those that do will. So, organizational purpose is something to be developed. As you go and experience the status quo, as you see the shortcomings and the limitations of the current system, and from there you develop a vision of how things can be better. That is a process, that is a journey. That when you're first starting, it's likely that you see the status quo and you're just learning the ropes. You won't really have a vision as much as if you have been working the system for a long time and you see exactly what's wrong with it and you can see what needs to be changed. And the level of concreteness of purpose and conviction that you have also develops as you see emotionally how the shortcomings of the current system, of the status quo, harms people, how it doesn't do people justice. And the conviction of how you see things being possible, that also develops. And so as an organization, this is also a journey that grows as the organization's owner goes through this process as well. So it's not about spending 30 minutes to figure out what your mission statement is, writing it down, and posting it on the wall. This is an ongoing process that the best organizations are constantly doing. And if you look into the journeys of many of these founders, like Steve Jobs at Apple, or whoever you want to reference, they didn't get it at first. It took them a process. It was a journey, and their conviction grew stronger and stronger as their organization grew. But the point is that they didn't do more of the status quo and then their organization grew. That at the inception, they had a vision of how things should be different, and that is required. That vision of how things should be different means that you can make things better, because you can't make things better if everything stays the same. So, make things better, create a purpose, see the status quo, make a vision, and everything will improve. Everything, you'll see the benefits of everything, right? People will want to work for you. Vendors will want to work for you. Customers will want to work for you. Like, they will, not as staff, but they will want to work with you. All right, so hope you start to consider this and develop your own sense of purpose. And how I would challenge you to do it is just look at the status quo. See what isn't being met. See what's lacking. See who's being burned, like who isn't having their needs met. Who is the system failing? And then how can it be better? What could it look like? What changes can be brought upon to improve things? And that is going to be the basis for how you create an organization that is unlike the others, that is remarkable because it is improving things, that is different, that people want, that people will pay more for, that people will work harder for, that people will want to join. All right. So that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.